Welcome, billionairettes. Welcome. My name is Vanessa Black. So happy and grateful you are here as we tune in and continue reading this incredible book by Bob Proctor. Okay. Change your paradigm, change your life. It's absolutely been phenomenal. We're about to dive into chapter 5 right now. Okay. And if you missed the previous ones, you know where to go. Check the playlist and you can check out all the books we've read. There's probably about 22 different books, 20 books actually, on audio that you can check out, all on, the topics of personal freedom as well as financial freedom. This is our personal freedom featured book of the month. And let's continue to dive right into it. Our mission here is to impact the lives of billions of souls all over the world to achieve personal freedom and financial freedom. And we're doing that by developing our minds, our bodies, and our souls daily. We need leaders like you. So once you achieve personal freedom and financial freedom, now you are that example to your world, and the ripple effect goes on. So we appreciate you, we love you, and we're so happy and grateful that you are part of the mission and the vision of Billionairette. If we're not connected on Instagram, go ahead and connect with us on Instagram at Billionairette, and you can check it out there. If you're not subscribed here as well, go make sure to subscribe, hit the notification so you get notified every single day of the week. We are posting these Read With Me sessions so you can actually commit to your personal development, to your growth on a daily basis, and get that incredible, pick me up to start the day, or that perspective. And it allows your mind to move once you allow the words from these books to just seep in. It can trigger a thought, it can trigger an idea, and it can absolutely be game changing. It could be one sentence, one of these books, one paragraph that absolutely transforms your life forever. So excited to continue to read with you, and let's continue. All right. How your beliefs affect your paradigm. Chapter 5. How your beliefs affect your paradigm. Most people think of beliefs as something static and inherent. In other words, this is what I believe, and I believe that for life. It is who I am. In the political context, people say, I'm liberal or I'm conservative. In terms of their personality, they'll say, I'm mild-mannered or I'm a type A person. I believe men are good at X and women are good at Y. That's the way most people are, but it's not the way they should be, because our beliefs shape everything in our life. Our paradigm is made up of our beliefs. Unfortunately, many of the beliefs that we operate with are absolutely ridiculous. They have no foundation at all. In the light of truth, they would just disappear. Furthermore, we did not originate most of these silly beliefs. Belief is a very interesting word. It played a big role in my life. I was trying to figure out why I was winning. I couldn't get anybody to answer me, to really tell me why. I knew that there were only two sources of reference: science and theology. I got into the various religions. I read the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, the Book of Mormon. It didn't matter where I went. Everywhere it said, you've got to believe. You've got to believe. William James at Harvard, way back in 1900, said, believe and your belief will create the fact. Believe and your belief will create the fact. But I wondered, how do you believe it? I didn't know the answer to that. How do you change your belief? Question. What do I believe? What I believe. Why do I believe what I believe? Question mark. One thing led to another. This went on for a few years. I could not figure it out, and I couldn't get anybody to answer it. Belief and reevaluation. One day I was having a meal with Val Vanderwall, who was a mentor of mine. In idle conversation, he said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. So I'm going to repeat that. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. When he said that, it was as if bells had gone off in my head. And I said, wait a minute, what did you just say? I had him repeat it. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. It suddenly dawned on me. All of a sudden, I knew why and how my life had changed. I knew everything that I was looking for. With all of the records that I played and the books that I read, I would be taking notes. What I was doing all that time was reevaluating who I was because all that information that these speakers and authors were sharing was about me. They were talking about the truth about myself. I was reevaluating who I was. I went from thinking that I didn't have anything going for me, that I was a useless character, and I let my past dictate my future, to deciding that would have to change. This process does take time. It doesn't have to take as long as it did with me because it took years to learn what I'm explaining to you. Although I didn't realize then, I was changing my belief system by listening to those recordings over and over. It's the repetition that alters what's going on inside of you. It's the repetition of hearing an idea that will change your belief system. When you keep listening to a record telling you how good you are, and then backing that up with all kinds of evidence of why you're that good, and you listen to that over and over, you're going to start to what? Believe it. You're going to start to believe it. If you tell a person a lie often enough, they're going to believe it. Hitler proved that. He told people lies, but he was so persuasive and they believed him. Some still believe that he was doing what he was doing was right. As ridiculous as this is, they believe it because they heard it so often. When you keep hearing the same thing over and over again, you're going to start to believe it. We heard that if you don't go to school, you can't win. That's not true. Many people that have never seen in the inside of a school have built huge organizations. We were taught if you don't go to church, you're a sinner. That's not true either. Why do we believe this? Because we heard it over and over again as a child, as children. It was programmed into our mind. As a result of hearing that repeatedly as little children, we develop that belief. We believe it from the moment we become aware of anything. It's part of our belief system. Powerful paragraph. I personally have come to the conclusion that we have to keep reevaluating our beliefs. When you believe that you can't do something because of whatever condition or circumstance, it doesn't hold water. You've got to get to the point where you believe that there's something absolutely magnificent about you. There's something so incredible about us, and we can study it all our lives. As Earl Nightingale pointed out, our body is changing at the rate of about 40 million cells per second. We're in a constant evolution of change. Our belief system can change, and it is changing all the time. This change should involve upward growth, expansion, and fuller expression because we're spiritual beings, and spirit always moves towards expansion and fuller expression. Conscious versus unconscious belief. Sometimes, as they're establishing a new belief system, people can lose confidence when they don't see the results they want right away. What should people do when their new vision of themselves isn't reflected in the results in the near term? Great question. To understand this problem, you have to realize that you're dealing with two levels here. And if you're taking notes, this is some good stuff. You're two levels here, a conscious level and a subconscious level. You can believe something on a conscious level while not believing it on a subconscious level. Say you've read Think and Grow Rich and you believe that you can earn more money, but you're not earning it. Where's the problem? The belief is just in your intellect. It needs to be integrated into the subjective mind. Until it's properly planted in the subconscious, it's not going to manifest in results. It's quite confusing to people when they know they believe something, but it's not showing up in their life. It's a matter of praxis, which is in the integration of belief with behavior. When you say, I believe I can do something, and you're not doing it, it is because that belief has not been properly planted in the subconscious mind. Through repetition and proper visualization, it will be planted in the subconscious. Then it starts manifesting as results. That part is key. What are the two things? Repetition and proper visualization. Author George Leonard wrote a book called Mastery. He said that if you stay with something, you'll be on a plateau for a while, but you stay with the practice day in, day out, and one day you'll suddenly hit a jump and find yourself at a new level. But you don't know when that jump's going to come. That's when you take a quantum leap. When that mastery cuts in, there's an enormous change in result. It happens so fast, it's almost a shock. When my income went from 4,000 a year to 14,500 a month, it was a shock to my whole system. This happens when you master something. This process probably takes a different length of time with every person. I think it depends on repetition, how often you study it and how deeply you study it. Repetition is the key. People go to seminars, read books, and listen to recordings, but the results don't come. So they get very frustrated. They don't understand that all kinds of things happen that they cannot see. We're part of an unseen world. In fact, the biggest part is the unseen. Nothing is created or destroyed, and the law of vibration decrees that everything vibrates on different frequencies. Every frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below, so everything is connected. The unseen and the seen are connected. Spirit manifests through its polar opposite. Spirit is working within and through the physical body that you're living in. The average individual knows nothing about that, or they believe it intellectually, but it's not happening, and that causes frustration. Quite often, people will quit when they may only be, as Napoleon Hill said, 3 inches away from the riches. Now we know, now you know. In his book, You Too, Price Pritchett wrote, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Then he added, think of an iceberg where you see only the tip of what's really there, but just as real and out of sight are invisible sources ready to make a profound difference in what you can achieve. We're dealing with something we don't understand, with something that's absolutely foreign to the minds of most people. The average individual knows very little about himself or herself. We learn nothing about ourselves in school. Even if you study psychology, you never really get into the essence of who you are. It's all left on an intellectual level. You never get into the spiritual essence of who we are, which is pretty sad. When I first heard these ideas, I thought they were silly, but the man that explained it said, my way is working and yours is not. Why don't you try my way? He was happy, healthy, and wealthy. I was unhappy, sick, and broke. He said, do exactly what I tell you. Find out I'm lying to you, or I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought that made sense, so I followed his advice. Immediately, everything started to change. Of course, it started to change my belief system. Wernher von Braun, considered by many to be the father of the space program, said years of studying the spectacular mysteries of the cosmos led him to a firm belief in the existence of the cosmos, of God. He said that the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building spaceships, sending people to the moon, and timing the landing within a fraction of a second. He said that these laws must have been set by somebody. I like that. I've adopted that. The trick is understand the laws as best as you can. If you are interested in 11 laws, okay, that were shared by Bob Proctor and also shared by his mentor, okay, let me know in the comments and I can look to get you something special. Overcome distraction. Let me go back to that paragraph. So he's like, I like that I adopted that. The trick is to understand the laws as best as you can. Then you'll start to understand how things happen and how things can happen. Overcome distraction. As I mentioned, when President Kennedy asked von Braun what it would take to build a rocket to go to the moon and come back safely, he said, the will to do it. The will is one of the higher faculties, and it gives us the ability to hold one idea on the screen of our mind to the exclusion of all outside distractions. Unfortunately, we are distracted all the time. You see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, But those five senses merely connect you with the outside material world. There's always activity going on out there, and it is always begging for your conscious attention. With the proper use of the will, you shut down those five senses and bring your mind into perfect harmony with the idea that you're focused on. That's what the great golfers do. That's what the great athletes do. That's what all the great salespeople do. That's what all the people who qualify as being great at anything do. They focus. They stick to their knitting. They don't wander all over the place. As human beings, we share the spiritual aspect with the rest of creation. In fact, spirit is 100% present in all places at the same time. Spirit is omnipresent. Everything is spirit. There's nothing that is not spirit. It manifests in many forms, but it always manifests in its polar opposite, the physical form. Although we share spirit with all that exists, what separates us from all the rest is that we are self-conscious. We are conscious of self. We have been given intellectual qualities that no other form of life, so far as we know, have been blessed with, which are, again, you can write these faculties: perception, will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. Each one of these faculties can be developed to a tremendous degree. They are reflected in the results. By their fruits you will know them. As I've said, most people know very little about these higher faculties. They only go by what they can see through their senses. If you're going to let the physical world control you, you're never going to have anything more than you've already got. Come on. That is key. If you're going to let the physical world control you, you're never going to have anything more than you've already got. Everything in our material world is in the third dimension. You want to go beyond that into your higher faculties. If we're created in God's image, then all things are possible. We can do all things. We're not God, but we're an expression of God, and great work can be done. That's why Jesus said that even greater things are you capable of. You're dealing with an infinite power. There's no end to what you can do. Yeah, you. It doesn't matter what it is or how good it is. It can still get better. I think better is such a beautiful word. The emotions are in the driver's seat. They cause us to move, but the intellect dictates what goes into the emotional mind. The conscious mind reasons both inductively and deductively. The subconscious mind only reasons deductively. In other words, it can only accept. It cannot reject. Subconscious mind can only accept. It cannot reject. Your conscious mind has an inductive reasoning capacity, which enables you to choose what's going into your subconscious mind. If you're not using that inductive reasoning faculty, if you've just lying dormant, whatever's going on around you is going right into your subconscious mind and will control your behavior. Hope you're catching that. Subconscious mind can only accept, it cannot reject, but our conscious mind is like the doorkeeper. It can reject. It can put a pause, okay? How advertising works. Y'all ready? Is this good? Is this good? That's how advertising works. It sets aside your inductive reasoning factor and opens up your subconscious mind. So you become totally deductive and do whatever you're told. You can set aside a person's inductive reasoning factor through fascination, agreement, or shock. That's how people become hypnotized. Hypnosis is nothing but suggestion. Advertising is a form of hypnosis. They fascinate you, shock you, set aside your inductive reasoning factor, and bang, a picture comes out and goes right into your subconscious mind. They don't do this once. They don't sell one commercial. They sell a flight of commercials. These are run over and over, and the message goes right into the subconscious mind. Eventually, you find yourself doing what they want you to do, and you wonder why. It's because the idea has been planted in your mind. Advertisers know that if they fire an idea at you often enough when you are in a certain mental state, you will act on that idea. They get you in the state of fascination. You're watching a movie, there's somebody sneaking up behind somebody, your heart is pounding, you're on the edge of your chair, and all of a sudden, bang, there's a beautiful car in front of you. They don't do that once, they do that over and over. Then you wonder why you're wandering around the auto showroom. The subconscious mind is where everything happens. It's what causes us to move into action. The conscious mind, though, can dictate what's going into the subconscious. You've got to think, but most people don't. Let me repeat that. So the conscious mind can dictate what's going into the subconscious mind. You've got to think, but most people don't. You can tell that they're not thinking by watching them. Response versus reaction. Dr. Viktor Frankl wrote a marvelous book called Man's Search for Meaning. He was a Jewish psychiatrist in a concentration camp during the Second World War, and he wrote, regardless of the intellectual or physical abuse you're subjected to, no one can cause you to think something that you do not want to think. He pointed out that in every situation, there is a space between the situation and your response to it. Now, that space may be millisecond, but in it, you have the ability to choose whether you're going to react or respond. If you merely react, you have given away your ability to choose to the circumstance or the person. You've given your power to whatever you're reacting to. If you say something that upsets me, then I've given my power to you. I permitted you to upset me. I've quit thinking and run into my subconscious mind. If I'm responding, I take a look and think, I wonder why he said that. But it isn't true at all. I'm actually a very nice person. I don't have to accept that. Then you're not reacting, you're responding. That's what people have to learn to do. I've taught it to kids. It changed their lives because they were reacting to whatever was going on. I tell them, when you're reacting, everything outside of you is in control of you. You're not in control of yourself at all. In order to be able to respond instead of reacting, first of all, you have to become aware that you are reacting. You can react so fast. There's that expression. She really knows how to press your buttons. For people to respond, they must think, and they've got to quit worrying about what other people think. If somebody says something offensive to you, you could react to that. They get angry, you get angry back, you yell at me, I'll yell at you. Nobody's going to win doing that. When something like that happens, stop and ask yourself, why would they do that? Why would they say that? Our whole system is structured in such a way to make us to react. We're acting on suggestion all the time. With all of this nonsense, yelling and fighting and riots, people are reacting to one another. They're not thinking. Then we try and quell them with more of the same thing. Fighting fire with fire won't work. We've got to encourage people to stop and think. We're not taught thinking in school. Thinking is a subject that can be taught, just like learning how to type or play a piano. You can be trained to use your higher faculties, your inductive reasoning powers. You can make up your mind that you're going to form the habit of responding rather than reacting to what's going on outside, and you can get good at it. I'm not going to tell you that I never react, because I do. When I do, I become aware that I'm doing it and I stop it. You can't win when you're reacting. Problem solving on paper. I use a couple of techniques when I have a problem. First of all, I'll write it out on a piece of paper as clearly as I can. After I've written it out, I'll go back and eliminate as many words as I can without losing the idea. I want it so that if I were to give you the paper and you were to read it, you could see the problem as I see it. When I set out the problem that way, then I'll go and sit at a different place at the table. In my home, I'll put it on my dining room table. If I'm in my office, I'll put it in the center of my desk. Then I'll sit at another place and I'll ask, how would Earl Nightingale look at this? I'll mentally try and get into Earl's energy. How would he perceive this? How would he look at this? After I played the question like that, I may sit at another place and ask, how would Napoleon Hill look at this? I may then sit somewhere else and ask, how could Andrew Carnegie look at this? I'll pick a half a dozen people, maybe Edison or Henry Ford, and mentally get into their energy. Pretty soon, I'm looking at it in a totally different way. I've already quoted my late friend Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at something, what you look at will change. That's shifting your perception of the situation. Now, that's one thing to do, and it works like a charm. Next, you want to work from the high to the low. Coming from the high to the low means going from spirit down to the intellect to the physical realm. If you're working with electricity, you must work from a higher to a lower potential. If you try to go contrary to that law, you're not going to get any use out of electricity. The spirit is on the thought level. You're coming from the inside out, not from the outside in. You don't look at present results and let them control you, as most people do. They go from the outside in and up from the bottom. They focus on the problem, then they pray to an unseen God in a cloud somewhere to fix it. This is really powerful. Hope you're grasping this, taking notes. We're spiritual beings. So we can go into our spiritual self, into the thought world. Thought is omnipresent. So is spirit. When he was voyaging to the moon, Captain Edgar Mitchell was doing thought transference exercise, which were later written up in the Psychology magazine. Your thoughts are omnipresent. When you're thinking, you're working with an enormous power. Thought is the most potent energy there is. It makes a laser beam look small. You start from the thought to the idea to the thing. You don't work from the outside in. You work from the inside out. I've been doing this for a long time. It works like a charm. When you're working in harmony with the law, everything flows beautifully. When you're not, it's not beautiful. It's pretty rough. And that concludes chapter 5. What an amazing, powerful chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And in the next chapter, chapter 6, the title is The Paradigm of Power Performance. So just to quickly recap this particular chapter, a lot of valuable information. Subconscious versus conscious mind. Our subconscious mind can only accept. Okay, that's why it is important, especially in the beginning. I remember understanding this, and it's like I would be so cautious of, I'm still cautious of what I'm listening to. What am I allowing into my ears? What am I allowing my eyes to see? Because my subconscious mind can only accept. So if I put myself in the right environment towards my goals, if I'm only seeing my goals, my vision, I'm only listening to, you got this, you can do it, the empowering things, I'm going to transfer and start to believe it. My belief system is going to change. Okay. So important. Our conscious mind now does have the power to say, okay, I reject that. You can share with me, but I reject it. But my subconscious mind can still will receive that. So I need to be careful what I'm constantly hearing, repetition over and over and over again. And I have to start making decisions in alignment to my vision, how I want to feel, my goals. So that's so important right there. And it does require taking a season of separation at times with certain people. And then what he just went into now was super powerful, that it's from the inside out. We're spiritual beings. It begins with the thought, not looking at your physical situation or what you see on the outside world or what the news is telling you. Like, we don't watch news, right? Because what is constantly CNN, constant negative news. So why do I want that constant negative news? Listening to it every day, coming into my subconscious mind, all the negative, all the horrible things that's going to happen or that has happened. Feed. Why do I want to feed my mind that? Why do I want to feed my spirit that? I don't. We don't. So we don't watch it. Okay. I'm in control of what I can feed. So I control it to the best of my ability. of our ability towards the direction that we want to move forward, towards how we want to feel. Okay, you listen to you most. So also reminding you of your self-talk. Your self-talk. Yeah, the outside voices, what are we hearing over and over again? But what are you speaking to yourself repetitively, day in and day out? Okay, that's why these 20, 30 minutes that you're listening into this book is showing you the truth of who you are. You're an infinite being. All things are possible. Yeah, absolutely. That goal, that vision, that mission that you have, you can absolutely get it done. What that thought, that idea that you have, perfect. It doesn't matter what your physical, your outside world looks like right now. It's the thought, then the idea, and you're working from the inside out. And you're working in alignment with the laws. You're being in harmony with the laws that Bob is sharing here. So, super powerful chapter. I can't wait to dive into chapter 6, the paradigm for power performance. And we'll do that in the next Read With Me session. Hope you got a ton of value out of this. Incredible. Never stop growing, continuing to develop personally. I believe in you. Okay. I believe whatever that vision that you have is possible and that you will achieve it as you constantly grow towards it. Right? Goals are for growing, not necessarily getting. So make that huge goal that you have so we can grow towards it. All right. Hope you have an incredible rest of your day. I love you. Appreciate you. We'll see you in the next episode.